How much money did I make in the Merchant Marine, specifically as an entry-level Merchant Mariner? In this video, we're going to go over all the specific numbers, overtime, penalty, all the money that I made in the entry-level Merchant Mariner. We're going to go over how much I made in a 2-week time period, and we're going to go over how much I made after a 6-month hitch. This was all as a ordinary seaman. Now don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn more about being a Merchant Mariner and learn the lifestyle about being a Merchant Mariner. First off, there are many ways you get paid in the Merchant Marine. You obviously have the hourly base wage as you get paid, and a certain hourly wage, you only work 8 hours that day. You are going to get paid for that set day the same amount every day. Could be $250, for example, for that day. Now, where a Merchant Mariner makes most of their money is in the overtime. We're usually working 12, 13-hour days, 7 days a week on a ship for months at a time. So the overtime rate is the more important number to us because we're raking in the overtime, baby. Weekends are all overtime. Saturdays, Sundays are all overtime. 12 hours of overtime. So you're going to get your overtime rate for 12 hours that day. So on a Monday, you're getting your base pay. We'll say it's $250 that day. And then you're going to get 4 hours of overtime pay on top of that. And Saturday and Sunday, you're getting 12 hours of overtime pay, overtime rate each day. Then there's something called penalty. Penalty is an act on a ship that isn't always available, but when it is, you'll get paid a certain amount for it. So for example, if you're doing something that may be dealing with toxic chemicals like metal bright, where you're trying to get the rust out of metal, you may have to deal with something that is technically dangerous. You have to wear goggles, safety gloves, so you're going to get extra pay for it and get penalty pay. And this is a specific wage. People love it when you get penalty pay because it's usually a higher rate and it's built on top of your base pay and your overtime rate. So it's another few dollars coming your way, which is awesome. Always great. To get more specific into the penalty, you have penalty on watch, and then you have penalty off watch. So for example, on the tanker I was at, even as an OS, you still have to stay on watch because there is something called cargo watch when you are monitoring the pressure systems of the cargo that is going from the ship to the shore or vice versa. You have to monitor the pressure systems and you have to make sure everything's good along with standing your normal gangway watch. As an OS, I stood watch, and occasionally, while nothing really was going on during my 8-hour time period of watch when we were discharging cargo, I may have had to perform an penalty. So there's a couple extra dollars coming in there. I'm explaining this all to you because on my payroll, you're going to see a lot of different things. You're going to see penalty on watch, penalty off watch, overtime rate, regular pay rate. You're going to see all these different things, and I had to give you a quick briefing on all these different numbers and what they mean. Because when it comes to working on a tanker, things do get a little complicated, and this was a tanker for the company OSG, and I was a watch stander while we were in port, but I was a day man while we were at sea. So the pay varied greatly when I was watch standing and while I was at sea. Things were very different. You don't normally do that as an entry level on a normal ship. On a normal ship as an entry-level, ordinary seaman, for example, you are usually a day worker. You work 12 hours a day with the bosun doing deck work. But on a tanker, you're in port, you're going to have to stand watch with the AB. There's a lot going on a tanker, but the pay is good. And now, let's skip over all this blabbing and let's get right into the motherfucking pay here. Let's go. This is OSG Ship Management. This was back when I was an ordinary seaman, as you can see there. And it was a pretty good ship. I can say that I had a great time. It was a tramp ship, so we were all over the place on this ship. It was a good time. So, okay, looking down on the pay. This is, right off the bat, how much I made in a 2-week time period on being on this ship. So, as you can see, earnings. The total hours earned for this pay period, 119 hours. Okay. Then he goes down to the regular pay. I got 16 hours of regular pay Makes sense. Then you go to the overtime rate. Overtime hours. 97 hours of overtime. Like I said, that is where we were making our money. The overtime is where you make your money as a merchant mariner. I'm getting 97 hours of overtime. That's ridiculous. But you got nothing else going on when you're in the middle of the ocean, so you want to work. You're out there to make money. Remember that. You're out there to make freaking money. So you can't complain when they're handing you overtime. Then here you go. Penalty on watch. 3 hours of that. Penalty off watch. 3 hours of that. And you go over to that rate for the penalties. Right there. Penalty on watch rate is $8.04. $8.04. Then you go to the penalty off watch of 3 hours. $25.14. Penalty off watch is crazy for 3 hours. 3 hours. 75 extra dollars. That's absurd. Okay, so let's go back to that regular pay there. The 16 hours. 16 hours of regular pay. Pulling in $1,939.36. That is the regular pay. That is $121.21 an hour. $121.21 a day for your regular day rate. That is basically your day rate, $121.21. So you're adding that up to $1,939.36. Then we're going down over to the overtime rate. like I said, 97 hours of overtime. $23 an hour for your overtime. And look how much I made total. $2,236.82 in overtime in 2 weeks. Add that all up. Before tax, we made, baby, $4,396.93 in 2 weeks. I'm going to say that again. $4,396.93 in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, buddy. Entry level. This is just to get your STCWs. For a tanker specifically, you do need your tanker assist. But basically the same pay as an OS on any American flagged merchant vessel. So in 2 weeks, entry level, basic STCWs, like I've talked about 100 times, like I mentioned in how to become a merchant mariner, how to join the merchant marine, get your basic STCWs, get yourself on a ship so you can be making $4,396.93 in 2 weeks. Okay. That's in 2 weeks. After tax. Of course, tax eats your literal ass. So, after tax, I'm walking home. I'm walking fucking home with $3,413.78 in my pocket after tax with 2 weeks of work down. 2 weeks of fucking work. As an entry level, this guy with no fucking experience on doing anything, I might as well be cleaning a fucking monkey's ass. That's how much experience I have at this point on a ship. I only have STCWs. $3,413.78 in 2 weeks. Come on now. Come on now. No college. At all. At all. I'm not qualified. I'm basically a fucking piece of shit. Making $3,413.78 in 2 weeks. Come on now. If you want to meet merchant mariners, great people, connect, learn more about the industry, grow into the industry, help you get your first job Join Sailors Connect. We have a lot of resources and we're a growing community trying to help each other out. Mental, physical help for all merchant mariners out there. For new guys, old guys, anyone who wants to get involved, come join. Okay, we're going to step over to the end sign-off payroll. I believe this was 5 to 6 months later. I could be off. I'm not exactly sure how long I was on this ship for. But this was the end of my tour. I might have had one more paycheck left. I'm not 100% sure. But let's go over it. Let's see what we got going on. Okay. Earnings. Regular pay. As you can see, that was for maybe the last week and a half I had, because you can see the total earnings for my last paycheck was $2,109.33. So that's probably a week and a half on that right before I left. I didn't finish out that total 2-week pay period. But as you can see, day in lieu, day off, overtime, penalty on watch, penalty off watch. Lots of different things to look at, lots of different ways to make money. It's not just so simple, regular pay, overtime. It's just, there's just a lot going on in this industry, but it's good because you can write a lot of things down on your overtime sheets. They don't really tell you that. It's a secret thing your bosun will tell you on a ship. He'll write this down to get extra money. Write this down, you did this day, and then add this, and here's a couple money coming in there. There's a lot of angles to this industry, especially when you get into like the union, and these union bosun guys, they know a lot. They know a lot of ins and outs of making their money because they love their money. That's why they're there. That's why we're all there. So, entry level, ordinary seaman, after about, I want to say 5 to 6 months, anywhere in there, before tax, I'm walking out with $47,890. Entry level merchant mariner. After tax, I am walking home with $38,553.93. Okay? Entry level ordinary seaman. No experience at all. Just the basic SCCWs. I'm going to keep saying this. You want to make this money, get those SCCWs, get on a ship. This is entry level, beginner shit. 5 months later, $38,553.93. 5 months later. I don't know about you, but a guy who doesn't have any college degree basically can walk off the street into a Coast Guard facility to get the proper training, get the STCWs, lifeboat firefighting CPR shit, get on a boat, and be making $38,553.93 in about approximately 5 months. Come on. Come on now. Get your shit done. Get on a ship. And subscribe.